Hey guys, Michael here. Again, I'm gonna upload these at the same time, although I might sort of, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what. Um, but I'm back with, fresh back from visiting a store and blowing my budget for who knows how long. But anyway, just wanted to show you what I brought home today. This is the first thing. This was the last record that I picked up while I was there. In fact, I thought I was done until I saw it in the new arrivals, and I was like, "Oh, bloody hell, yeah!" This is the last one that I grabbed. There's another thing I grabbed too, and I'll show you that in a minute. But American Woman by the Guess Who, maybe one of the best bands Canada ever exported to the U.S. As a band, as a whole. Certainly one of my very favorites, and probably their best album. I love this album. When I bought it, I paid $15 for this one, and it's an immaculate copy. I haven't checked to see, how close it is to a first press. Probably not. But he said, "Boy, these go for crazy dollars," and they do. I've seen them really ridiculously high, almost. He said, I'm like, well, people will pay that for this one because it's so great. It is that great of an album. Most of the Guess Who's albums you can get for 10 or less, but this one, I was happy to get it for 15. I've been looking for it. I'm not real crazy about all their albums, but this one in particular I'm absolutely nuts about, and I'm thrilled that I have it now, and I get to play it tonight. It's going to be fun. I love it. Another 70s, truly 70s, whereas that's really kind of 60s artist. And one of these, which one? This one here. This is a second copy for me. It was $5. But Cat Stevens, and I absolutely love early Cat Stevens. So I saw it. It was $5, and I thought, this might be in better shape than the copy I have, which I've had for quite a long time. I pulled it out, and it's just about as beautiful as it can look, and I think it's gonna play really well. I hope so. And that's Tea for the Tillerman. And then, of course, the other of the two that are really almost, would be Teaser and the Firecat. And they're both absolutely great albums. This one has Moonshadow and Peace Train and Morning is Broken, all very well. Bitter Blues, a great song, by the way. The Wind, it's great. This has great stuff on it. And of course, Tea for the Tillerman with Father and Son. Isn't that the title of it? Father and Son. One of my favorite songs of that era and genre, singer-songwriter type thing. Where Do the Children Play? A truly brilliant song that makes every bit as much sense today and seems just as important today as ever did. Hard-Headed Woman. I mean, they're just great. Longer Boats, that's a good one. If I Die Tonight, Miles from There. There's just nothing on these two. He really hit it out of the ballpark. And then I grabbed Buddha and the Chocolate Box, which is a later thing, I think. I can't remember the order. This one came out in 70. This was 74 or so. Pretty sure it was later. But for $3 and the album, the vinyl, it was immaculate. And I was like, oh, well, hell yeah, I'll take that. And then this, Cat Stevens' very young and early songs. I don't even know when this came out. I think one reason Cat Stevens' music and his albums sell so cheap is because of his conversion to Islam. And I don't see a date on, they're all from the 60s. Very interested in hearing this. I knew that he had been around before he really made a big splash with those 3 albums right there, and Catch a Bullet 4 probably, you know, his heyday albums. I knew he'd done some stuff before then, so I'm really interested in hearing this. And it was $5, and it's in really nice shape. And I'm perfectly happy with him being Muslim. In fact, I'm really pretty fucking sick of people always wanting to point out how violent and terrible Muslim is. Then I grabbed this, cheap, John Sebastian, The Four of Us. Never heard it before, but I love John Sebastian. Loving Spoonful is one of my favorite bands from the kind of the early, so for me, my age, you know, mid-60s sort of a thing, with songs like Do You Believe in Magic and Summer in the City, and what's the one about, Did You Ever Have to Make Up Your Mind? I mean, just great song after great song, and some odd ones like Jim Bang Music that I loved as a kid and I still love. So I had to have it. I just had to have it just so I can hear it. And his trademark tie-dye look, which John Sebastian, boy, you talk about somebody who got identified with tie-dye, John Sebastian. He was a damn good-looking guy when he was here. He's still around and still doing stuff. As a matter of fact, he just is. Okay, some other. Okay, these are all the little dollar big ones, so I'll pull these out real quick. Yeah. Okay, these are all records I bought for $1. This just intrigued me and was in good shape. Interesting. Anyway, it's the album is called. Well, it's not called anything. It's self-titled, I guess. It's the Esso Trinidad String Band. I don't know what that Esso stands for even. I really don't. Did I say string band? Steel band. Did I say string band? I don't even know now. And some stuff about it. Oh, Esso drums. Aha. Okay. And here we go. Liner notes by Van Dyke and Dirty Parks. Oh, wow. You know, I am such a sucker for Caribbean music, calypso, soca, Jamaica, rocksteady, all of that, and Afro-Cuban and its influence. It's something that I fell in love with as a kid before the Castro Revolution. That Latin music and that Afro-Latin beat was big in the States. It's Castro's fault because as soon as Castro won the revolution and declared himself to be a communist, a Soviet-style communist, it was like all of a sudden all that just disappeared from the American pop music scene. There were Latin clubs all over, and there's a great documentary about all of this music and its influence on Bill Graham, who, as a young man living in New York, haunted one of the biggest clubs there. I don't remember the name of the club now, but it was a Latin music club. That is one of the reasons why Bill recognized the quality of Santana's music and insisted, as a matter of fact, when he was asked if he would do the programming and all the getting everything set up and all of that for Woodstock, he said, yeah, but only if you have to have this band play. And that band was Santana, and that kind of blew everybody's mind when it happened. And then this one, soca music from Trinidad, heating the place. And I'm really excited. Oh my God, and here we are. On a previous video, I had mentioned David Greenberger, and I think I said in that video that I just got done filming, that if you were to look at him on Discogs, you'd find probably close to 100 albums that were designed by David Greenberg. Well, here we are. This is on Ronda Records, so that makes sense because David had a lot of involvement with that label and did a lot of things. And then this, I have somewhere over here when I bought a huge, I still have not gone through the hundreds and hundreds of 80s, mostly funk and soul and disco. But I did find the Musical Use album with Passaducci on it. And for $1, here was, I think this would be their second album probably. And I thought, that album is actually pretty good. It really is for these kids. And I thought, you know what, I want to see if this is good. And for $1, why not? And last of all, I almost never buy a comedy album. I do have Big Bamboo, and I haven't even played it yet to this day. I don't know, they just sort of passed me up. But there is a comedian who is now dead, and he also did a cooking show by the name of Justin Wilson. He was a wonderful, told Cajun stories and was a Cajun himself. And I thought that for $1, oh bloody hell, yes. He is one of my favorite comedians and certainly probably my favorite storyteller type of a comedian. He's not the same type of comedy at all as someone like George Carlin or Lenny Bruce, who are very topical. He told stories, but they're great, and so I cannot wait to listen to this and laugh again like I used to. Grabbed this because it was a good price, and I played it while I was there. Pretty low on surface noise. I think it'll clean up nice, and it's a really good album. One of the early Stones albums that I think is quite good. Most of the really great stuff on this you can also find on High Tide and Green Grass, but it's nice to have this album again. This is one of the first albums I ever owned as a kid, so there's a nostalgia thing I'm not going to deny. But it's more than just nostalgia. There's stuff that I thought was really great when I was a kid that I would have no interest in hearing today. And I'm a Byrds fan. Maybe not the hugest Byrds fan. I have heard that early Byrds, even after they already were starting to do some recording and stuff, that they were terrible live. Although by the time anybody I knew, and see, I never saw them live, so I really shouldn't even say that. It's just something I've heard. But I kind of had to grab this. This is a later album, of course. Let's see here, Gene Clark. Somebody recently said they thought he was the most talented Bird. And I have to take a little umbrage with that. I might be willing to go along with that as long as you say he and David Crosby. I'm not that big of a Steve Hillman and them. Roger McGuinn, and this, of course, the only member of the Byrds by this that's original is Roger McGuinn. And but I thought, man, I want to hear this. And the thing that really sold me is side 2. The first album is a concert recording, and side 2, the whole of side 2 is 8 Miles High. And I'm like, I gotta hear that. So I'm gonna, and I'm pretty excited to have this. And it's not that I don't actually. Some of my favorite Byrds albums, like the Notorious Byrd Brothers, are well after the original classic lineup, but well worth listening to. I don't know that there's a bad Byrds album. It was one of those bands where I think there was just a whole lot of personnel change. But you know what? That's generally true. The more unique and unusual thing would be to have have a band last for 8 years and no personnel change. Like the Beatles lasted as long as they did without any personnel changes once they settled with Ringo, that's actually unusual. The Stones pretty well have managed to keep the core together up until quite recently. I think Bill Wyman, didn't he quit altogether, or did they manage to convince him to leave his home in Cannes and tour again? I don't know. And then this is Sealed. Roger McGuinn, I've never heard of Roger McGuinn's solo album. Of all the members of the Byrds, Roger McGuinn, the founding member of the Byrds in a lot of ways, is the one who most kind of annoys me in a lot of ways. I've seen him talking and playing some stuff, and I thought, boy, you're really kind of full of yourself. But still, I thought, wow, a Peace on You, an eagle, a guitar, and the moon. I don't even know the date this came out. It is sealed. I have not even opened this. It's never been opened, and I know it's a pretty old record, I'm sure. Nothing brand new. Let's see here. 1974. So this album has remained sealed for a long time, and I doubt seriously if it's had multiple pressings. Okay, then I did a crazy thing. I've gone in there many, many times, and the Who Live at Leeds, I mean, its reputation as being one of the greatest live albums ever. I remember hearing it way back, like when it came out, and not liking it very well. But I thought, you know what, I really would, if it's got that kind of record, I need to listen to it again. Kind of like Get Your Yayas Out. I don't like that album very well at all. I don't know if I will bother, simply because Mick's not even holding his voice through half of it, so it starts really sounding awful and a little too, I don't know, something. I like the Stones. In fact, there were a bunch of Stones albums I almost bought until I was looking, and he had this one, and it was listed as being a VG Plus, and I kind of laughed at that, and I had seen it before, but it's got, I'm not sure if this is every bit of the paperwork. There was another copy in there that had just 2 sheets of paper, just these 2. Well, this one's got the photo and all this stuff. There's one thing that is really kind of rare and exciting, and if you find that in this whole thing, I've never really understood why, this is done the way it was. It's so strange too, But anyway, I don't really know what this is. I never did quite get that. But this record, Crackling Noises Okay, Do Not Correct. Okay, that may be, but this record is just boo-foo and foobar beyond. I actually prefer foobar to boo-foo if you really think about it. But anyway, so it was terrible. However, in the New Arrivals, and this was the first thing I saw in the New Arrivals, and I was like, well, I want to look at this. Because I looked at that again, and I looked at the other one, and I was like, no, I just can't. I'm not going to buy that record because I can't play it, even though it's pretty complete. Well, here was a copy like this, and this may well be a later pressing or something, I don't know, but the album cover's pretty good. It's dirty, which is very, very, I don't know if you're ever going to find one that's not. But between the two, none of the goodies, but the album itself hasn't got a mark on it, and it's shiny, glossy, and pretty. Not even an inner sleeve. So we kind of did a deal. I paid $7. This one was for $7. This one they were wanting 12, and I was like, I took it up, and I figured, but anyway, he let me have this one for $5. So, and I was like, okay, that's a deal. What I'm going to do, and of course I would never try to pass this off as anything other than a Frankenstein, but I'm Frankensteining it. Sherry wrote her name in pen on the front of this. Sherry Beatty naughty. I've got records that are much more written over. But at any rate, so I'll probably keep this cover, although this cover is lighter and I suspect maybe older. And I'm gonna Frankenstein them, and the old record is going straight to the landfill where it really belongs. Super thrilled to have this. So that's my shopping spree for the day. Real cool though, real quick, and I'm just grabbing this because it's sitting here. I just saw today that Love Tractor are rejoining, and they're going to be performing their first 2 albums live. This and Around the Bend. I have them both, and one of the reasons I like, well, you know, this album is almost mint, the vinyl, but of course that sticker, and I'm not about to try to peel that off because I'm pretty sure, but it was a property of WMBC in Medville. I can't even actually read that. Something college. Medale? I don't know. Anyway, and both of them were from that same radio station, and are but the albums themselves are in beautiful shape. And Love Tractor is one of those bands out of Athens that kind of a lot of people aren't as familiar with as, say, Pylon, or of course obviously REM, B-52s, but these guys were great, and many of the guys who were in those other bands would love to come and jam with these guys. This is kind of unique in a way, out of that college rock thing, which sound really was pretty well defined, I think, in Athens. This is an instrumental album. There are no vocals on this one. The second album, they started having some vocals, but no words. It was all, yeah. And I've not heard their later albums, but also their music is going to be reissued, and that's pretty exciting too. So that's just a little bit of extra stuff from a far too long video. I apologize. I talked too long again, and you'll just have to forgive me or not bother watching the whole thing, in which case you won't get the apology. Haha. That's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.